Hello, welcome to Be Her with Shalon, and we actually have Dani here with us today. Dani took my class, Self Love Queen Academy, and I thought it would be really nice to have a couple of the ladies that completed Self Love Queen Academy pop on and share about their experiences and everything because I can talk about it until I'm like blue in the face, but I feel like it's so much better when you can actually hear about other people's like transformations and their experience and their feelings and all of that kind of stuff, like because it is kind of a bit of a coaster going through Self Love Queen Academy, but in all of the bestest ways, right? So thank you, Dani, for being here and joining me today. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I guess Dani and I met at a market, I guess, that I attended. You were in a completely different province than I am.
I think I actually walked up to you and I was like, I have to come to your booth because you're so beautiful.
Aw, you're so sweet. Yeah, so and then you sat in on my light language class, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. And we were just chit-chatting after or whatever. So, I guess what kind of made you feel like comfortable with wanting to take Self-Love Queen Academy anyway?
I mean, I'm obviously sometimes a very slow decision maker. And after the summer, and I kind of seen that you were going to be starting in September, and I kind of hemmed and hawed about it. And I think you had like a meeting or something, like a live with somebody else who had taken it before. And it was very shortly after I reached out and you explained it to me, and I felt very called. And I mean, at that point in time, you had kind of a what do you call it, like a discount or something to start
Oh
early.
yeah, I will
So
start with early bird price. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so you had an early bird price, and I still feel like where I was working at that point was guiding me to take Self Love Queen Academy because I was getting paid fairly reasonably, and it set me up with the opportunity to be able to pay for it and take advantage of it. And
Mhm.
then the craziness, obviously, that comes afterwards, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
Absolutely. So, for those of you that are just joining me and haven't heard before, Self Love Queen Academy is my 12-week group coaching program. Okay. And it is basically a rediscovery of who you are. It's peeling back all of those layers of who you are not, all the limiting beliefs, the projections, all of the things that have been placed on you, and really taking a deep dive into who you are at the core. And like, what were your, I guess, did you feel your biggest transformation was with this whole process?
I mean, for me, it was really, I'm going to say it was how I make a living.
Okay.
And
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
uh, And I mean, there was a lot more to it that I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't like all the things that you get told when you're 22 starting, not starting, but like in a career that's very high level, and everybody tells you, well, I don't know if you're going to make it. And everybody kind of puts you in that place of, well, you'll have to do this to be successful. And I think all those things that these people who were obviously older than me told me don't exist anymore. And at the same time, it was a lot of mother wound and father wound where my mom had absolutely no concept of money and kind of just let my dad do whatever. But then at the same time, she was like, well, can I spend $200 on groceries this week? And that was something I never wanted to be in the position that I had to ask to go buy groceries. Like, how much can I spend to buy groceries? I know how much I can spend. And at the same point, my dad, who was very driven and motivated, like I got a lot of those types of personality traits myself. And I just felt like there was always more. There was always more. And I think that just there was so many times that people were like, oh, you could do this on your own. You can, like all these different people that hardly would know me and tell me you can do this. And as I, grew in my career and grew as who I was and how invested I was in every customer that I dealt with, that I kind of started recognizing my talents through Self Love Queen Academy.
Yeah. So it's just like, well, because once we strip back all of those beliefs and everything else about being worthy and deserving and all of that stuff, right? Then you actually start believing in yourself and trusting in yourself and trusting in your intuition. And that's really also what it's about, right? Is really trusting in yourself and what you feel is best for you, not what everybody else tells you to do, right? Um, and so you, just a little bit about yourself, you are a kitty mom, a solo kitty mom.
Three cats.
Just so everybody has a little bit of background, okay? So, like, Dani is supporting herself financially on her own, right? And that takes a lot of work. And she made a really big leap to actually like shift. I guess during the program, you actually ended up losing your job, didn't you? Yeah,
Yeah,
now
it
that
was.
I'm thinking about it, and you didn't even like, you maybe had that little moment of panic, but you were like on it. You were like, I already have a new job. And then didn't you get
It,
offered another one?
it took me 24 hours. So that night, like I took like an hour and I just like grieved. I was like, this is the end of who I was, and this is like a new beginning. Like that old me it's dead, she's gone. This was a rebirth, like within an hour. And so I mean, the emotions in that were like up, down, up, down, up, down. And like the rage, like I went over
Mhm.
to my dad's place because he is in the same industry as me and he gets it. And I went over and I was like, I'm done. I am done letting some small dick man tell me that I'm not good enough.
We don't actually
And
don't know. We're just I
I don't know, but like
know what you
if they're
mean.
that
When you're
scared,
mad, like
like in a world that like I wasn't scared. Like, yes, I get it. The planet is crazy right now. And yes, there's things to be scared of, but I mean, you and I both know this. We are just walking through the fire and we one foot after the other and we just keep walking through that fire. And I feel as myself like I wouldn't do that to somebody else.
Mhm. Well,
And
I know what you mean, and I think that's the hardest thing when you're like feel betrayed. You're like, I would never do that to somebody else, right? Like I,
yeah,
yeah. Um, what was I gonna say now? With your job or whatever, and the rage and the grief and the everything, like, good for you for like honoring that time for yourself and taking the time out to do that. And so that like you literally purged so much, you purged a whole identity of yourself, right?
yeah.
And then you were like, okay, you let all of that stuff go. We also went through, like, had we gone through how to become friends with your emotions yet in Self Love Queen Academy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
So
think that was
that
like actually the week before.
of oh, for real? So did that perfectly divinely timed. I love it. So did that feel like easier for you to be able to navigate through everything and kind of pinpoint it? Because when you say your context about men or whatever, and you're like, I'm not going to let him do this and tell me this and blah 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 blah. I feel like that's like from past experiences that was like all coming to the forefront from that one moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and it was kind of this moment, and like I mean, my history with like abusive relationships and like emotionally abusive relationships and then work abusive relationships, and it was just like I'm just done. I am done letting somebody else dictate
Yeah.
how good I am at something. And in the meantime, I've got people outside of things telling me that I'm capable. And so I turned around that night and I was like, what are my skills? And it was basically like, I'm really good at helping people with financial stuff, like
Mhm.
helping women in general, but like just helping people understand financial, planning, stuff like that. And then on the other side, I'm really, really good at helping farmers, producers find markets that work for them. And so I started looking at these skills and what can I do? And then I realized, like, and I just went to a trade show the other day and I couldn't walk 15 feet without running into somebody else I knew and running into somebody else I knew. And all these people highly respect me. And some of these people are like, to the point where they're 2 years from retirement type of thing. And these people highly respect me. So why, when I was sitting in that, what can I do without needing somebody else as like my financial backing?
Mhm.
And I just started like looking at my talents and putting it together. And I came up with 3 different ways to do things.
Mhm.
And so by January 1st, I had already started to have discussions with 3 different places. And we're working on contracts and getting training into place and everything so that I can do all these different things. And I'm doing it for myself. Like the way I sell is the way I sell. Nobody is going to dictate to me that I sell too slow, I sell too fast, I, take too much time with my customers, I, whatever. This is how I do things and this is how I build relationships. And maybe it is different, but I think it's the feminine way and I think that's what holds people to coming back.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, you are in a very male dominant industry. And so for you to be like able to stand strong within yourself and be like, no, this is how I'm gonna do it, because that is you trusting your inner divine feminine, that intuition and being guided, right? And knowing that you need to form these connections, right? There's so many, especially because you work with like farmers, right? Like there's so many farmers that have like zero trust anymore in
Yeah.
like especially with everything that's going on in the world. Like I know, like I've talked to some of them, and so for you to be able to like build that trust and know that you need to do that and how to nurture them and all of that kind of stuff, like that's not just something that somebody learns either, right?
Yeah.
Like that's you already. And we just kind of like peel the layers back and allowed that to come forward so that you could step into this next level for yourself. And I think it's just so beautiful.
And I think like it was after joining that I really, really got to understand and why I was so drawn to you.
Oh,
And I mean,
I'm intrigued.
I mean, number one, we're both Sagittarius. So,
Oh, that
I
helps.
mean,
Things,
but I just feel like we have this like inner spicy dark feminine. Like
yeah.
it's different than like I still think it's a divine feminine. It's just it's a little bit spicier, it's a little bit darker. And I just I even like I look at like some of the maybe not recordings, but I look at like pictures over the last like 3 months and even my visual face has changed. And like, and then I went from not really enjoying dressing up or looking nice because it made me uncomfortable to putting me in a position of I want to wear the red lipstick because I want to stand out. Like I'm done with being that person in the corner hiding out. I want to be visual. And
Feel free to be expressive in however way you want to be, right? And even I see how you're like showing up differently on social media and everything, like more bold and like authentic and truthful and all of those things. Like that is like so pivotal. And when you say like your face and everything changed, like that's that goddess glow. When you I don't know if I've really talked about dark goddess energy on the podcast yet, but like I'm a true believer. We have both. We have dark goddess, we have light goddess, right? Like it's no different than the divine masculine, right? And it's having that balance between the two, even though some people are more, like you said, drawn to the dark goddess aesthetic kind of thing. But like the dark goddesses are the ones who are going to help us save and change this world. They're the ones who are like liberating us into our freedom, right? I think I just sent you a thing the other night that I was like, yep, go figure. It is going to be the divine feminine who are going to save the patriarchy from themselves, basically. Like, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous to see it happening in the world around us, but that's a whole other discussion for another
Well, and
day.
I mean, even going back to me as like a
Like,
cat
oh,
mom, like, you know, you look at like Cleopatra, and like I kind of like we also, she thought she was the reincarnation of Isis.
yeah.
And like you kind of look at that, and like the cats and everything that, you know, kind of come with her persona. And like at the same time, she was like pure like beauty goddess, like the I'm
She
trying to
just
think
had
of the effect
radiated
that
like black energy herself, right? Like,
yeah, like it just, she was powerful. Like you think of her and you just think powerful.
yeah.
And you think of Marilyn Monroe, and like she was light, however she was so powerful. Like she
Mhm.
she made women believe in sizes that people deemed not appropriate or not, you know, sexy, but yet she was sexy. Like they're changers. They make the world different.
The way showers that were unapologetically themselves, right? And we talked about like the Marilyn Monroe effect in one of the court or one of the classes or whatever in Self of Queen Academy, right? And how it's like an embodiment. Like if you feel like you embody, like I like definitely you brought up Cleopatra or whatever, like, and I worked with Isis and all of that kind of stuff. So it's like the embodiment of that energetic frequency, right? And how they show up and how powerful that is. And it's not about like changing who you are, right? And becoming somebody else. It's actually, if you resonate with that energy already, it's already within you. It's just about uncovering it and allowing it to come out and shine through and be expressive and be true to yourself, right? And so I feel like that's just what I do. Like, I just like peel away all of the parts of you that you've been like, you know, projected,
Hiding.
like just peeling. I'm just seeing like these labels like of stickers, and I'm like, nope, nope, nope. We're just gonna remove all of that, right? And get to the good stuff, right? Get to, and so that you feel like you're able to just be true to who you are unapologetically without like fear of judgment and all of that stuff. And do you know what? There's always going to be people who are going to judge you. Always, right? But
I think
that's,
it's
I'm like,
just a matter of not caring anymore. Like I
exactly.
just
I'm like, that's a them
really don't
problem.
give a shit.
Yeah, because they, like I actually was just at a friend's house the other night, and I'd only gone out with one of her other friends a time before or whatever, and there was like, because I'm like kind of boobalicious, right? So and I was wearing a very revealing top that night, and there was like some other girls when we were out who were like making comments. I didn't even notice. Like, I didn't even notice. It wasn't even on my radar. I was just like in my own world, doing my own thing, living my best life. And her friend was like fuming about the fact that these girls were making these comments and stuff. And I was like, why does it even bother you? And she's like, because that's so horrible. And I appreciate that she was like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
defend and whatever else. But it was like, don't even let it bother you. And she's like, how do you do that? And I was like, well, it takes a lot of practice. I can tell you that much, right? Because like I've said before, like I was teased growing up or whatever, but it just gets to a point where you know that it's like it's a them problem, not a you problem, right? You are triggering something within them, and that's why they are like projecting it onto you. And when you have like a stronger energetic frequency, that just bounces off. Like it doesn't even phase you anymore, right? And that's kind of where I like to get my queens when they're like completed Self Love Queen Academy to like the zero fucks given point where it's like, no, I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be unapologetic in who I am. And I don't care what you think about it. And that's kind of my goal, I feel like. Is that how
And I
you felt?
mean,
We're done?
well, and I mean like that, losing my job was like the wall to like letting all that go happen. And it was just like, again, just walking through the fire and being like, I am burning this shit down. Like I'm done with being small. I'm done with people telling me who I need to be. I just want to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, since then, like, I just, I don't even care. Like, if I've told people that disagree with me and like in nasty ways, like, don't talk to me anymore. Like,
Yeah.
see ya. Like, you're no longer relevant to me in this lifetime of my lifetime. Like, it,
And to somebody who might be listening and finds that like possibly offensive, I don't know. Um, I believe a reason, a season, and a lifetime, right? And if somebody is being rude and to you and is expecting you to stay in the box that they want to keep you in, then it's time to say goodbye to them, right? And like I think you losing your job was just like that, like the turning
the
point of everything.
catalyst moment.
It was the turning point of everything. And
Yeah.
fortunately, when you do take Self Love Queen Academy, sometimes things fall away, but they're for your highest best good. Like it's always for your highest best good, so that you can get on the right track to where you are needing to be in your life, right? Sometimes that's a job, sometimes that's a relationship. I've worked with ladies, not to scare anybody, because I feel like sometimes people don't want to work with me because they're like, oh, but everything's gonna change. And change is scary. I get it, but the only constant in life is change, right? And like sometimes it's relationships that fall away, sometimes it's people, sometimes it's like habits, like, but it's always for your highest best good, right? And it's just because of the fear of the unknown and the uncertainty of what is to unfold, but it's like so magical in its own essence, do you not think?
Well, and I mean, completely agree. For the first time in my adult life, actually probably realistically since I was a teenager, because I've been working since then, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what my financial makings look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However, at the same point, I don't know what they look like. They could be anything. I put the work in, I get what I put into it out of it. And I think it was that realization of like I I think I was more stressed having a salary than I am now.
Because you're trusting in yourself, because you know that you can make it happen, right? You know that it's like, I've got this. I can do this. I can make this income, and it's uncapped, right? You're not in this box where like, oh, I only make this much money, right? And then
Yeah.
you're like about like, not that we shouldn't budget and whatever else. Anyway, we don't want to be going and spending extravagantly, but you know what I mean? Like it's like there's almost more freedom to it as opposed to
Hmm.
like having to live within these certain means. It's like, well, if I need more money, I make more money, right? And that's
Exactly.
possible. Yeah. And it's possible. Like because there's
And
so many like infinite ways to make money, right? It's just that like with society and the system and everything, like we keep ourselves in this like, I have to go to work, I have to work 9 to 5, I have to do this, I have to do that, da, 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 and I only get this much money, right? And don't get me wrong, that stability is great. However, when you're strong and stable within yourself, then money is more so drawn to you, right? It's easier to attract money when you're strong and stable within yourself and you know that you are this limitless being of possibility and opportunities. And the divine feminine, when she is like nurtured and loved and all of those things, is a magnet for money. She's a magnet for abundance. And it's not just a money, like it's abundance in so many forms, right? And when we focus on those forms, then that is magnetized to us even further, right? And
and I even noticed like since I've went through it, like there's just little things like there's people that talk to me less, which you know what, half the time they were being very negative and you know, we'll just leave it at that.
yeah.
But like so for instance, I bought this beautiful vintage coat, and the amount of women coming up to me and starting a conversation saying, I love your coat, it's beautiful, and then just talking to me and hearing what they have to say, like it's just beautiful that these women are trusting a perfect stranger to hold what they are saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's also a part of being an empath.
Yes.
Yeah. As people are very open to like divulge all sorts of information to you. I'm like, oh, the stuff I could tell from being behind the salon chair. I'm like always like, what happens in the salon stays in the salon. That's what I tell them. I was like, just these four walls. That's all. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
By the time they leave, I've forgotten anyway. But
It's real though. Like, I mean, there's a certain persona you got to be a hairdresser. I am absolute positive of that, because and I mean, even at that point, like there's certain hairdressers that I don't even like, I wouldn't tell them those things.
right, it's
Like,
definitely the person has to have a certain be able to hold that space in that container, right?
yeah, like, it's almost like the people that are going to be open to what you have to say.
Mm-hmm. And on an energetic level, people like it's not like people aren't like, oh my god, there's Dani, I can talk to her about this. That's not how that works. They just
Yeah.
like approach, and all of a sudden they're like spewing this stuff out at you, and you're like, okay, like I'm a perfect strangers in grocery stores, and I'm like, okay, like even when we girls
Exactly.
and I even when my girls and I were in Nashville, we were like in this mall, and there was like random people coming up to us and being like, do you know where whatever is? And I was like, I'm from here. We all look like we belong. I don't know. It's just the most funny experience. And like, but even still, you're like grateful that people feel like they can approach you, because I feel like sometimes people think I'm a little unapproachable because I have kind of this resting bitch phase. But yeah, I
But
joked
yet
with
at
my
the same time, I turned around and said, I had to come up to you because you were just so beautiful. Like,
well, and it
you
really
know?
depends on the situation, because like when I'm at a market and stuff, obviously I'm going to be approachable. But when we were out at the bars, and like if I don't want like my friend, she would just be like, sh people after would be like, I don't think she likes me, and it's like, do you have any idea how many times having a resting bitch face has saved me from unwanted conversations and unwanted people approaching me? Like literally, it's just a protective mechanism so that I don't have to go through all of that crap.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not, I mean, I have nothing against people at all. Do you know what I mean? But it's just like, it's the
I think
funniest thing.
I think I have what's called the resting terrified face, because when I don't want to talk to people, I look like I'm absolutely going to have, like, I'm going to start hyperventilating or something.
Just like, get me out of
Like,
here. That's so, um,
and like, I'm not terrified. I don't know. It scares people away.
yeah. So, okay, was there any like worry or skepticism or anything like that with starting Self Love Queen Academy?
I mean, it's like anything you go into, like, is it going to be worth it? Like, what am I going to get out of this? I mean, that's the question of everything, is what am I going to get out of this?
Right.
And I mean, at the end of the day, if I can't say how much I am grateful for trusting my instinct to do it, because it actually gave me the ability to trust my instinct again. It gave me so much. So obviously there was skepticism, and I mean, I believe in all the woo-woo stuff. This just made it very clear that it's real.
Well, and we go into woo woo stuff, right? Like we go into the subconscious programming, and we go into the childhood healing, and we go, and it's all every, like I've run Self Love Queen Academy 4 times now, and every module, or every time I do it, it's different because we still have the same structure. But I think I even said to you, I was like, girls, we were going to do this tonight, but like I'm being called to do this instead. And it was always so divinely guided with what you were needing, because that's what I do. I trust in what my students, I guess your students, I don't really see you that way, but students are needing in that moment. And even the guided meditations and everything, like whatever comes up is for, like, it's specifically for you and who's attending, right? It's not just like the same repetitive meditation or clearing or whatever from like the past 3 times that I ran Self Love Queen Academy. It's not, it's like it's divinely guided. It's like me trusting my intuition, and obviously I guess it helps, right? And I know you had said that you really liked my meditation. And
I
that was
did.
kind of also joined, like, after Self Love Queen Academy, going into the sacred reset is something that is like actually kind of great to help support you as you're moving forward, because I know lots of queens are like, now what do I do?
What do I do?
Everybody's
Yeah.
always on the on like class 11, 12. They're like, what are we gonna do now? Like, we are not meeting weekly, what are we gonna do, right? And so like the sacred reset is really like a beautiful transition into a different
Yeah.
container where you can also still be held and guided with everything that is going on right now. So Dani decided to take that leap with me into the sacred. She actually kind of requested, she was like, is there something you can do? And I was like, give me a minute, let me see. So do you want to touch base a little bit on the sacred reset and how you're feeling about that?
I mean, I wouldn't have made it through January. Nope.
Oh, no,
Nope.
yeah.
Like, without it, uh, no way. Like,
Mm.
the 7-day reset that we did was like, I mean, we are shedding so much, and I think especially like the signs that, and I mean, you know this too, just because of the signs we're in, but like we were also shedding like this world of having been manipulated for so many years. And
Yeah,
like
that's the fourth cycle that we just wrapped up.
I just looked at like I looked at my own last like 12, 13 years and like thought about it, and it was like the amount of things that I just believed and let it happen, and like the manipulations that I let happen based on even just like, you know, getting into relationships because a woman shouldn't be alone, a woman should be married, things like that that people would tell me, and recognizing like, no, I don't need to be married. Maybe I don't even really believe in it. And maybe I do. Maybe it's just not for me right now. Um, but just kind of believing that what was meant to happen was meant to happen. And I learned from that. And I mean, we're just going through such a shift right now that having that reset, and like, I think we were talking about this the other day. Like, I would go to bed and my heart would just be pounding, and like it felt like there was pressure everywhere. And I said, it wasn't like I had a headache, but everything just felt pressure. And I would breathe through it, or I would go back to one of the meditations, or like just find what I needed. And then I found, you know, we discussed in there like doing different meditations, and I found somatic movement through that. And it I ended up doing one that was very self-love motivated, and it made me think of the one class that we had where it was about like moving sensually and putting music on and dressing sensually. And I remember like the look on our faces when you said this is what we were gonna do, and you even
That's
said
the
like,
one
"Whoa, Danielle, you did not want to do
for
that."
real. And I was like, listen, I'm being nice. I made the other class actually post it, but that was just dancing. And yeah, because I wanted you to get into your sensual energy. I felt like you were just like everybody was just like very like, we don't do that. We don't do that, but we need to do that, right? To reconnect
Yeah.
with your sensual energy and your movement, and you're just like to feel within your body. It's so sacred. And so you really enjoyed that
Well,
though.
and like the fear that I had doing it, because like, and I mean, as a single woman,
Mhm.
regardless, like whether you have kids or not, as a single woman, the first thing that happens, especially in a small town, but it happens everywhere, is, well, you're out here stealing husbands. And it's like, well, as a matter of fact, most of the people stealing husbands are married, and it's just a bunch of married people doing this. But like, I was terrified to be like
Sensual.
even allude to being sensual, because like, oh, obviously I'm evil if I do that. And so it was like, now, after doing this and practicing for a couple months, it's like now, you know, I do it when I'm doing dishes. There's, you put on music and you're vacuuming the floor and you're not carpet. And it's different than it used to be.
Absolutely. I love that. That's so good. I'm happy to hear that for you, for sure. So okay, so you do find, I guess, that the Sacred Reset is like a good resource for you to access whenever you're like needing some extra, support or whatever. Um, so just to touch base on
Absolutely.
this it. So we have lives in there for the full moon and the new moon for sure. In
Yep.
January, we did the 111 and the 1111 portals. That is closed now because we're in February when I'm posting this. Okay. So, but February, we're going to be dealing with like it's going to be all surrounded by relationships, is what it's going to be based on. Okay. And so the 7 day reset, it actually, because the 7 day reset is in the sacred reset. Okay. And you can start that whenever you want. Okay. You can start it like whatever 7 days you decide you're going to do it. That's when you do it. But we start it and you can go through it together or not. It doesn't matter. But we have lives, we have guided meditations. There's going to be one for heart healing and also one for, I think, self love that is going to be posted if I can remember. Yeah, there that will have been posted in there already. And so it's just about like relationships, and your first and foremost relationship that you could have is with yourself. Every other relationship is a reflection of that, your relationship with yourself. So if you're not happy in some sort of relationship, then something within you needs to shift and change, right? And we don't like to do that. We don't like to take accountability for that.
I mean,
But
and and that's where, like, and like I said, I was doing the self-love, like I was drawn to, and I always say, like, when something pops up on my phone, it happens for a reason.
yeah.
And this self-love somatic movement popped up on my phone. And I started
Mhm.
doing it every day. And I did the reset in January twice, and
Oh,
involved that somatic movement because I started just recognizing that it was helping. And like, the movement that it was showing me was like, even just like rubbing your arms to make yourself feel cared for. It doesn't matter whose hands are doing it. Your body doesn't understand that. It's still giving you that means of feeling cared for. And I
and we
think,
that, especially as single women, we need to do that because
mhm,
human bodies need touch. They need affection. They need all of those things, right? And when we're not doing that, I actually think I took you guys. We do like a gratitude meditation, or not meditation. Well, it is, yeah. And like we're like with touching your body, and finding gratitude for every part of yourself. And like the one lady was like, "No, I am not going to be hands on with my tatas," and I was like, "Girl, why not?" Like, why not? Like, what?
I
They're your body. Like, so there's like a lot of women who have this reserve of what like sensuality and sexuality and their body and all of that kind of stuff that they have a very negative relationship with. And so this also, like in Self Love Queen Academy, opens you up to building that relationship with yourself, right?
yeah. And I think that was part of it, was like, kind of, I mean, as obviously I'm not 22 anymore and my body has changed,
Right.
and
And that kind
it
of
like,
feels like sex sometimes too.
even just even
I
just
get it.
looking at my skin, I'm like, I actually have started to like it better now than when I was 22 and it was, clear. Well, not, I have clear skin, but like there weren't the lines and, aging things that happen. But at the same time, I've learned the beauty in that. And I feel like my skin glows more now than it ever did.
Because you're loving and accepting yourself now, right?
Yeah.
Where before, when you're like berating yourself, like I'm a firm believer that we are like house plants. My mom
Yep.
always like, I don't understand how your plants grow so well when you barely take care of them. I was like she's like, my plant dies, and I was like, do you talk nicely to it? Like, do you give it love? Like, I always tell my plants when I'm watering in my garden and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, look at you. You're so pretty. You're so beautiful. Look at, oh my goodness, you got a bloom. Like, you need to talk to yourself like that as well, like in the mirror, and give yourself love and care and compassion and attention. Like, it's not just water and nutrients and
Yeah.
whatever else. That's a part of it, right? That's why we focus on mind, body, soul, right?
It,
But you're doing all of those things and berating yourself in the mirror because you're not this, that, and the other, it doesn't matter. That's what your body's going to explain or like
I've even
res-
like, I mean, you knew my routine and I've taken time off of the gym. I'm giving myself like, because it's talking about how much sleep we're needing to go through these transits, I'm giving myself that time to sleep and for going on the gym.
yeah.
And I mean, nothing's changing body wise,
Oh,
but it's giving me that time to sleep and rest so that when I'm ready to go back, I'm ready. I'm actually ready, not already exhausted.
exactly. Yeah, because when we're like already coming from a depleted place, then like it's not serving your body at all. It's just creating more damage. And I'm not saying that like we should give up exercising and all of that kind of stuff. Absolutely not. I am saying is that as women, we need to trust in our intuition for when we need movement, when we need rest, and when we need whatever it is that we need at that point in time, as opposed to living on this clock where it's like, oh, it's 12 o'clock. Guess it's time to eat. Oh, it's 7 a.m. I guess I better go to the gym for an hour, right? Like that doesn't work for our
Yeah.
bodily system. And that's why so many women are like super, super burnt out, right? And when we can actually like reconnect with ourselves and trust in that, because I know what you mean too. Like I've been sleeping more and not working out as much, but when I'm like, you know what, I want to do a workout, I do a workout. Like that's
Yeah.
just laying in bed the other morning, and I was like, oh, okay, what are we doing? And it's like, oh, I'm working out this morning. All right, let's go. Like, and you know what, like I don't know, my body's probably
And
a little bit more curvier now than it was before, but I'm just embracing it, and that's okay because that's okay.
and even just like the movement that I've been doing recently has been like slower. Like I just come out and like do cat cows or, go into child's pose and like move my body into it and how deep I can get into it. Like I'm not going
Mhm.
out trying to lift the weights right now. I'm
Yeah.
stretching. I'm finding mobility. So,
Mhm. Like our emotions and all that kind of stuff are like stored in our body. There's lots of times I've been stretching and I'm like full on crying on my yoga mat because something was released, right? It does, we don't need to know what it was, but there's lots of times where I'm like, okay, well, that's something let go, and that's okay. We'll just cry and, keep stretching. But um if there's one thing, because we're gonna have to wrap this up, that you would like to share about Self Love Queen Academy or anything before we end the session here or the
I
podcast.
mean, I think just going back to those meditations, I think like they they were life-changing in the moment,
Mhm.
and I'm super grateful that I mean, I asked for what I wanted and you created the sacred reset, and I'm just grateful I can continue with these meditations because I think that what's going to it's going to be what helps take me to this next level. And
Mhm.
especially because like there's after you come out of Self-Love Queen Academy, there's like this integration process, and like you almost feel like you're in this like delusional world for a little bit.
Yeah,
And
that everything can shift and change. It's almost like you go
exactly,
a void and you're like, okay, now what?
exactly. Like that's really what it was like, now what?
Hmm.
And I also think it gives us, like, you're working around the moon, you're working around transits and helping guide us into what to work on at that point in time, because at that point in time, working on the right thing is what makes us successful.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, makes my our cappuccino is like here. Wait, so okay, um, we're gonna wrap this up because I have to go. But thank you so much for joining today. And if anybody wants more information on Self Love Queen Academy, please, please, please reach out to me. And or if you're like ready to dive into the sacred reset, absolutely. Just comment in the description, or I'll leave the link for everything in the post as well in the description. But thank you so much for being here, Dani, and I appreciate you so much for joining me today.
I appreciate